Welcome back to part two of this presentation. In this portion of the presentation, the we're going to be looking at the individual educational tools, some showcase some of the projects I've completed this over the course of this class, and we're going to look into AI as well. So, the first educational tool that we're going to look at, and to get the elephant out of the room, is screen recording or screencasting. And exactly what it sounds. You're taking a recording of your screen, and it's what we've been doing for the last 12 or so minutes during part one and into part two. We as teachers we can use this in a variety of ways. We can use it to record presentations or what we did in class that day. The first thing that came through my mind to use this technology is to record record a lecture or a presentation that we were doing over that we did for that day, and then post that presentation into whatever digital classroom management tool that that your school is using, whether that's Google Classroom, Schoology, Moodle, what something like that. And, and that's good for students because students can it gives students the opportunity to possibly go in there and rewatch the presentation that you did that day, and also gives an opportunity for students that may have been absent that day for whatever reason to have access to the recording that they're doing for class, the recording to catch up on what they missed that day. It's a really fascinating technology that I think is very important in today's modern world. The second one is infographics. And infographics are visual representations of information. And they involve different photos, um, obviously information, and and teachers we can use this in a variety of ways to relay information back to parents. We can do it to use an infographic to talk about the rules in our class, or school rules in general, and it's a good idea. But what do you need to make a good infographic? The first thing we need is a topic, and we need to research that topic and kind of digest all the info that you've researched to formulate your infographic. So you need a topic. The second thing you need is a target audience. Is this target audience your students, colleagues, parents? We need to know who we're trying to relay this information to. And then we also need a guiding question for the third thing that you need for a infographic. This question is going to guide you. What question do you want answered from the reading of this infographic? This is how you're going to, this is going to guide you into what do you want answered through this graphic. Now, we also have to talk about what makes a good infographic. We already touched on part one being it needs to be reliable and well-researched data. But the second one, it needs to be lively. It needs to be well laid out design. It doesn't, you need to make it not look boring. Make it look like there's effort and care to put into it. So it kind of like has that eye popping effect. It's, oh, this looks like it's a really nice design product. And then the third thing you need is it needs to be easily shareable. And that can be done in a variety of ways, whether that's if it's for your students, Google Classroom is a very good way for it to be shareable. It could post it in class, or maybe even just handing out to individual student in class could be make it shareable. But if it's for your like parents, I think a good way to do that is to email it to a parent if their email addresses are available to you, or have the student send it home, and hopefully they get it to them. Now, it's not the best way, but I think the email way is the better way to go. And the fourth thing that makes a good infographic is your infographic needs to lay out the story. So your guiding question that you came up with, it needs to lay out the story and answer what that guiding question is trying to be. And that's a good way to kind of approach this. So the first thing, well, we're going to look at a infographic I made this semester. Um, and my topic I did it on was Google Classroom. As you can see, Google Classroom is what I did it on. My target audience for this presentation, for this infographic, was parents. So I wanted to get to target parents with this infographic. And my guiding question for the majority of this infographic was, what do parents need to know about the implementation of Google Classroom into their child's education? So I started this off by telling them what Google Classroom is, because some of them may not even, some parents or guardians may not know what Google Classroom is. It's something that's a newer technology. Even when I graduated school in 2015, and we didn't use Google Classroom, and I graduated back then, and that was only 10 or so years ago. I didn't really start using digital classrooms until I got to college in my undergraduate degrees. But I wanted to talk about what is Google Classroom. Second, also I have video overviewing it a little bit. Talk about the features of Google Classroom. This is more into what is Google Classroom, what can your student do, what can you do as a parent. Getting emails to summaries or guardian summaries they call it. And went over what guardian summaries are. And then I wanted to go over the benefits of Google Classroom. What does Google Classroom's implementation provide yourself as a parent and your child? So that's another art reference I wanted to go into that. So this is the infographic I came up with. Um, and again, my target audience was the was parents. Topic was obviously Google Classroom, and then I wanted to what do parents need to know about Google Classroom and its implementation into the classroom. So next we're going to go into assessment and quiz tools. And this is fascinating because it gives us it gives us options to provide assessment in different ways. The first one we're going to do is, and you can do, and this provides options and within formative assessment and summative assessment. We can all, instead of making our assessments just pen and paper or pencil and paper, we can make it interactive online and do online versions of this and also get live results from those versions. Also helps us keep track of it instead of just doing it in a note, just keeping track of no in a notebook. We can just do it this way. So the first assessment tool I did was Edpuzzle, which allowed me to use a video. Use a video. I did it on the Siege of Yorktown and add different questions in there. So this allowed us to bring in some open-ended questions, multiple choice, based on the video in question. And I've liked this because it brought a way into bringing a video to be more interactive and have more meaning to it. Because even when I was in school, a lot of the time you look around when a video is being shown, a lot of people are either not paying attention on their phone or even at times sleeping. So this makes the video more interactive for the students and gives a outside of the idea that of just it being of the video being the purpose for education, it allows us to make sure that we are giving the video a purpose and a great value behind it. The second the second tool I wanted to look at was a quiz tool, Socrative. And I made a quiz in here on the Yorktown, and this allowed me to add a few different quizzes. I have a few different multiple choice questions, some short answer questions. Also allows me to do true and false if I wanted to. The AI feature is pretty neat in this, as it allowed me to generate some questions, and I really liked this feature because it gave me some questions that inspired me, and actually a few of these inspired were inspired from the AI feature. Like if want to say the two short answer questions were inspired by multiple questions I found in here, and I I really enjoyed that feature. And going into AI, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence is something that's very new in this day and age. It's a lot of companies are investing billions of dollars into it, and it's something that we need to think about because there's been a lot of debate on it. And but exactly what is AI? So NASA, a definition by NASA defines artificial intelligence as computer systems that perform complex tasks normally done by human reasoning, decision making, creating, etc. And and in education, there's a lot of focuses around the way we can use AI. The big one that everyone seems to know of nowadays is ChatGPT. One thing I learned in la- during my last field experience that our is that one of the my mentor teacher, she used artificial intelligence. She used ChatGPT to try to break down a lesson, to break down her lesson plan into different days and stuff like that. Kind of focusing her looking, and she also informed students that if you're having trouble with your APA citations, ChatGPT is a good place to go to use AI to let AI do it. You can have AI do it, but I think we have to also be not overly dependent on AI. Like I think it's important. The AI can be used as a system to enhance learning, but I don't think we need to go all in on it. We have to keep some sort of humanity in our creation process. But one of the resources I looked at throughout the AI section was Grammarly, which is a writing assistant that allows us to check spelling, grammar, and other stuff. And that's really what I've learned throughout this class. I've learned a lot about ideas of what I can use for technology in the classroom. I know for a fact I really like the screen recording option. I feel like that's very important, especially for if we have access to like Google Classroom or something like that. And I really also like the quiz and assessment tools. I think like those made, especially Edpuzzle, that made videos very interactive and much more better, in my opinion. So thank you for listening to this presentation. I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of your day.